Rahmawati. You can call me Rika. I'm from class 2A English Literature, name 40322000. I wanna make video about I Love Cities, page 156. I love cities. I love cities. Living in them, working in them, visiting them, and learning about their similarities and differences. Over the years, I have my home in Berlin, Germany, Rome, Italy, Ankara, Turkey, and New York, and New Haven, USA. In the past 10 years, it has become increasingly difficult to reconcile how I feel about cities with what I am forced to think about them. There's no doubt about it. Today's cities and the people who live in them face serious problems. Headlines tell us almost daily that some of my favorite cities are on the verge of financial and social bankruptcy. All the evils of life in our decade seem to be concentrated in cities. Pollution, congestion, overpopulation, poverty, drug abuse, and crime. If one mentions such adjectives as thrifty, sleazy, rundown, corruption-ridden, or learning, what immediately comes to mind is a street in the large city one knows best. Some cities seem to be struggling in their own traffic jams. Others are almost buried under a mountain of uncollected garbage and trash. Venice is literally sinking into the water and Mexico City into the ground. Cities seem to get the worst of bad government, and the best and most progressive administration seem to have run out of ideas on how to solve urban difficulties. And yet, to millions of people throughout the world, cities are still a symbol of hope. Although some cities, New York for instance, seem to be losing population, very few city dwellers moved into the rural countryside. Instead, they move either to another city or an area around the city. From the air, some cities look like an ever-expanding donut. The center is becoming an empty hole, while the outer edges expand. What are people looking for when they leave the countryside in which their families have lived for generations and moved to large and problems-ridden cities? Everyday life for them seems to get worse, not better. Often they seem to get the worst in housing, education, healthcare, and jobs that their countries have to offer. And yet they rarely return to the rural area they have left. Some governments have tried persuasion and the promise of better homes, education, and health care to get families living in squalid huts or tenements in inner cities to go back into the farm country from which they came. Other, more tyrannical governments have forcibly moved people out the city and back to the country, only to see them come back to cities as soon as official pressure allowed. We don't really need statistics to prove to us that we are becoming increasingly an urban planet. The astronauts flying their spaceship far above the globe, might have seen the earth as green and blue, vegetation and water. From an airplane, which gives us a closer view, the earth looks mainly gray and brown by day, black with millions of twinkling lights by night. From my trips around the world, the most important conclusion that I reached was that cities, large or small, European, Asian, African, or American, all have their share of problems. But they are not, in and of themselves, the problem. In even the most frighteningly confused, poverty-stricken, seemingly hopeless urban areas, we found a community spirit that seemed to prevail against all difficulties. Everywhere there were creative, vital people, from the policeman walking the beat in London's most crowded slums to the woman psychiatrician in New Delhi, trying to cope with 4 times the number of sick and dying that her hospital could hold, from a high city official in Jerusalem who worked with a loaded submachine gun slung behind his car to a home economics teacher in Kathmandu teaching the first principle of health and hygiene to a class of similar girls. These people, of course, did not have ready-made solutions to their city's problems, but all felt that there was no reason to give up hope, that with planning, hard work, and a lot of luck, their cities might yet be made into place where families might live and someday work in decent and human surroundings. Thank you for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.